What's going on, y'all? It's your girl, Amaya Desire, and of course,
Jenny C23.
and this is another review from Big Obo Media, Season 3, the finale season of Harlem.
Yes.
One word, two syllables, messy, okay? Because they left us really wanting more last season, gave us the cliffhanger, and we want to know who is pregnant. So let's start with the not so messiest Tye, because I know she's your favorite right now.
Tye is definitely shaping up to be my favorite right now. Only because I feel Tye is the friend I feel you don't expect to have something good to say. Cause Tye be on some fuck shit sometimes.
Okay? No, I think that Tye's been herself most of the time. Like, she's positive, but she's real. She's not.
All right, so maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
So
with Tye's realness, I would say it showed up in a way that she was asking the right questions, man. Mm-hmm. She was doing everything I feel like she was supposed to do as a friend, while also getting her business where she wanted it to go. And I like that. Like, I feel like Tye is definitely showing a lot of growth from previous seasons to now, though.
Yeah, so we have Tye, you know, she's at a business meeting with Eva, who's being played by Gail Bean.
Yes,
right?
We love Gail.
And she is basically pitching this story for P, which is the sister app to Q, right? So this is about poly relationships. And, you know, Eva is clearly flirting with her, but the new Tye is like, nope, I'm keeping this strictly business. Eva's like, do you want to go out for a drink? She's like, oh, no. And Eva's like, no, I just meant like you want to meet the team. Tye is being very cautious. And I love this about her. We now find out that she's on a celibate journey. She's no longer having sex. And we, you know, as we see her having these conversations with Eva, she goes on to tell Eva, like, oh, I'm messy, right? Like, I am the reason why that website exists, because, you know, I was just being the hoe of Harlem.
Do you feel like Tye wasn't giving herself grace?
I do, but you know what? I think that happens when you get into spaces where you can see the recurring pattern over and over, and you have to take some accountability.
Okay.
So I think that she did right by just saying, like, this is who I've been. Not necessarily who she wants to be, because we see she's taking steps not to be that person. So she has this conversation, you know, and this is when she meets Eva for the drinks, and she's saying, like, I was dating a mom who and realized that I slept with her daughter, and I was told to stop damaging the women of Harlem, and so, you know, I'm celibate.
But even with that, like the mom and daughter situation, how would you have known?
That's true.
Like, you got to give yourself some grace on that situation. I get certain things you definitely was crashing out, but like on that situation, she didn't say, this is my mom. You didn't see a picture of them on her phone. Like, this is
right. You didn't pull out that wallet picture and be like, this is my family.
Like, that's nothing like that ever happened. Like, the daughter was strictly fun, and the mom was somebody you was really feeling. And you met separately. You never seen the daughter at the mom flower shop, nothing like that. So you got to give yourself.
I mean, I will give her some grace on that, but I think that she just started to see the pattern. She's like, all right, let me just slow down and deal with this.
She was just unconsciously messy at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, basically she goes into the spill because Eva is like, it's just a drink. And Tye's like, that's how it starts. One drink and then bam, messy, you know? And so Eva is like really simple, very calm, cool, and collected. She's like, you just make a different choice. And I love that. That's such a gem right there.
Listen, I want to say we haven't got much of Eva yet, but I'm excited to see her character and her development, because just off of the first few conversations we've witnessed between her and Tye, I feel like she's about to shake Tye's world up in a good way.
I will agree. Just being able to, for me, it's when you are able to make such a profound statement when somebody is coming at you with like how they're not a good person. Like you said, not giving herself grace.
She was taking away the excuses.
Yeah.
She was taking away the excuses. Now I feel like that's what Tye needs. Somebody who's not going to just go for the bull, who's not just going to take her at face value, who's going to actually challenge her a little bit. And I feel like Eva does that. Like, why do you feel that way?
I agree with that. And
Make it different.
speaking of excuses, your girl Angie is finding all the excuses about why she don't want these wedding venues. And I'm not gonna hold
Oh
you. I
my
really like to
God.
play on it's still a no for me when we think that she's talking about marriage, but she's actually just talking about the wedding venue. So I thought that was cool.
No, I feel like with Angie this season, I don't know. It's given. I love the excitement about the wedding. I do, but you're not listening to your husband,
Hmm.
and that's the part that I feel like is well, we're gonna see how it plays out. But I hope it doesn't become a thing. You know what I mean? Like
I think
where
that
she's ignoring him too much that he's not being heard, and then
yeah.
it becomes an issue.
Well, here's the thing. I think in this particular episode, we see them having a conversation about venues, and he's
Right.
like, well, a wedding should be intimate,
Right.
like, and she's like, I want
A
something, I want a
production.
production. And Angie is a production all on her own,
Hello.
right? So you got to understand who your person is.
Right.
But I think that them having the conversation, at least they're having the conversation because it is
Right.
about communication when
Right.
you are in a relationship, when you're talking about marriage, right?
Especially
And
planning a wedding. That's
listen,
heavy in itself.
as
So.
somebody who is currently planning a wedding, it's a lot. Okay, please understand that it definitely takes a toll, and venues are probably like the one of the biggest things that you have to decide on, right?
Right.
So I totally get it, and I'm glad that she is communicating and having these conversations with him because at least in this moment she's saying like no, like this is what I want. And I think
Right.
that that's like what you're talking about, being heard, making sure that he's also
Yeah.
saying what he wants to.
Right. And that's what, like, when they met up at the club with the friends and he had to run out. But before then, like, just bringing that up to the friends and they're like, do you even know who you're marrying type situation? I think that put into perspective too a little bit for him. Is like, all right, so there definitely is going to be some type of middle ground we're going to have to meet.
Right.
And I just hope Angie's ready for that middle ground.
Yeah, I think she will be. She's growing, and they all are growing, right? Because when we talk about Quinn's business is growing. She's there with the client, and she's making the client look good. And the client says, "Yeah, you got the card, just swipe it." And and she was like, "Yeah, I'd like to ask you about that because is that like your daddy?" Or is that like your zaddy? You know what I mean? Like, there's a very big difference. And she goes on to say, like, yeah, that's my zaddy. And, and hey, if you're free, come out tonight, bring your girls and come to my party and maybe I can get you a little something.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. I love new Quinn right now. New Quinn hasn't been tested yet.
I agree.
And inviting her to this party, I think, is the first step in this test. What you think about that?
I think so, but I think that she gets to show that she can choose. And what I love about Quinn in this moment for this particular season and this episode is just that she's living in her truth. She's being unapologetically herself. And she's still figuring it out. And I think that that's a good thing. That's what that's what I love, is that I think that we don't often hear enough. Like, it's okay to just be figuring it out.
Right. I feel even with Quinn's growth, I wouldn't even say that it's the unapologetically herself, because I feel like she's always done that. I think she now realizes that everyone doesn't deserve all of her initially.
Right.
And I think she's starting to find the value in herself and her space and her peace. And which is why she is like, okay, maybe now we could entertain some people. So yeah. I feel that. I feel Quinn is hopefully on the right path.
Yeah, I think
we're gonna see once it's tested.
I think she is. And guys, let us know what you think, your opinions, how you feel like the season is going. They are dropping 2 episodes at a time, so we will be discussing episode 1 and 2. So just let us know your feedback. Let us know what you think.
Let us know, man.
So I think as we see this episode progress, Quinn, Camille, and Angie show up to the party, right? This is where we get introduced to Seth, which is being played by Kofi Cerebro.
Yes.
And
shout out to Kofi.
Listen, Black men and Black women are just absolutely gorgeous, like just stunning. And this show just gives us a beautiful melanin cast. Like I'm so in love with it.
Listen.
So they meet, right? She introduced Quinn to Seth. They instantly hit it off. Angie's in the background, like, that's my best friend, that's my best friend. And then Camille is over here crashing out, as Tone like to say, because she gets this. Well, actually, let me slow down for a second. We see them having lunch, right? And she basically is trying to wave Ian down. And I think that this is a very interesting, because we often have, I don't know about you, but I know I've been in this space before with when I've seen my ex and I'm like, oh my God, right? Because what do I do in this situation? Even though we're cool, there's no bad blood, but like, you know, so they're at the bar and they see, you know, Ian, and she's trying to flag him down and he's not responding, but I think he saw her. So
he definitely saw her.
In walks somebody else, and it's Portia being played by Logan.
Right. We love Logan. I love you, Logan.
And, you know, they're hugging up, and Ty's like, ooh, seeing Ian with a new boo was not on my bingo card, but I'm here for it.
Right.
And then you know, Camille so confidently is like, oh, that's just Portia. That's like his sister. And the kiss happens. Oh my gosh. What did you think about that transition, or like the writers? What did you think about the writers putting that in the way they put it in?
All right. So for me, it was a culture shock, because we already know they was being F buddies after the relationship.
Right.
So now thinking that y'all on one page and seeing him with someone else, I don't think Camille was even mentally prepared for that.
Right.
And then for it to be Portia, it goes to show, like, a lot of the time people overlook relationships that's right in front of their face. And when they do finally decide to give it a try, it kind of could be received really bad, especially if it's a person that you were friends with while you were dating other people,
right?
Things like that. So now, as Camille being the crash out that she is, she's an overthinker. She's like, what the heck is going on here?
Because we did forget to mention, like you said, they have been sleeping with each other. They broke up. She was like, what about ex-sex, right? And instantly I knew this was going to be a messy situation, because
you don't
ex-sex. Like,
you don't.
No.
Not unless y'all getting back together.
Yeah, because if you actually plan on staying apart, like, which Ian took very seriously, right? Because Camille didn't want to have kids, and she doesn't want to have kids. And so he basically is like, yeah, you know, sex is cool. And then that one time, as we see, where, you know, Camille is like, oh, do you want to get some lunch or dinner? I'm hungry. And he's like, no, I actually gotta go. I'm dating people. Like, okay.
In other words, he was going to meet Portia.
In other words, he was going to meet Portia.
And I think that's when it started to click for Camille, when she realized, like, oh, he kissed her. He dubbed me not too long ago. We haven't been hanging out as much.
It's been 2 months.
So what's going on?
Right.
I feel she shouldn't have did the pop-up at his crib.
Well, okay, so let's take it back, right? So Camille and Ian have been having sex, right? They've been having sex. They've been getting at it like rabbits. Camille also meets with Dr. Pruitt because she decides she wants to leave Columbia. She wants to graduate. She wants to write her book. There's so many different moving pieces to Camille's life that are happening right now.
Right.
She then her, Tye, and Quinn are out. You know, they see Ian. She calls him. He doesn't respond. Portia pops up. They kiss. They have that moment where it's like, oh, hell no. So Camille sends him a trifling ass message, right? He doesn't respond until they're at the event that Quinn got invited to, where she decides, like, oh, he sent me a voicemail. I'm going to listen to it at the party. And then she decides to pop up at his house. I do agree. I don't agree with the pop-up.
She should not.
I think that's crazy to pop up at anybody's house unannounced. You're wilding for that.
Right.
And to see Portia there, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, I just think that the way they're doing Portia's character right now is just a little, I don't know what the word is. Come back to me.
It's giving pick me.
No, it's not that. It's just I don't know, like the whole
They
like
not respecting her enough.
no, not really. I just feel like you came outside to answer the door. Like, all right, cool. I don't, I don't know. Yeah, it's just if it's my house, I don't know if you're gonna be. Anyway, okay, moving.
I get it. I get it. So, but you got to also think this is like his best friend.
Right. This is
so
true.
This isn't her first time in his house.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't her first time opening his door.
Yeah.
So this is natural. This is regular. And when you get there, first of all, you see that they already kissed in the restaurant.
Right.
Now you see her opening the door.
Right.
So it's like if 2 and 2 didn't click by now you gonna put him in an uncomfortable situation to tell you verbally, like, yo, listen, I'm with Portia now.
Yeah. I mean, here's my thing. I think that he absolutely should have just said that in the beginning. It's been 2 months. Camille's now sending you clip pics.
No,
right?
It's been 2 months of no communication though.
That's what I'm saying. She sent you a clip pic. You listen, if anybody ever thumbs up any kind of nude that you send, it is a wrap. Okay, wrap that shit up. It's a done deal. It's
what if they heart it?
Dead in the water. If you heart it, maybe.
If they heart it, I mean, like, you busy, but I'm gonna get back to you.
I feel like that's the case. But a thumbs up is a thumbs down for real. That's like, come on, like you did what to my dude? Absolutely not.
Right,
that's
right.
crazy. So I do think that he could have just simply said like, hey, I'm seeing somebody seriously, and we can no longer have sex, because that's the problem with most of the conversations that we don't have nowadays, that they're not being had, right? It's like an indirect ghosting situation, because him thumbs upping the picture is still him communicating in some form, but he's not communicating.
But he definitely ghosted her though.
He did.
Definitely ghosted her. I feel a month ago she should have popped up to his crib, not 2 months.
I think, or she should just. Well, I feel like he could have answered the phone, because she did call, she did text. Could have answered the phone, just send a text, hey, unfortunately, I can't do this anymore, whatever, and move on.
But that right there, he would have got dragged to filth if he would have sent the text message and not told her face to face.
I mean, here's the thing. They have history. We're talking about deep history here. I think face to face or phone call is reasonable, because I care about you. Though. Yeah, not text message.
Not text message, because text message is crazy. If you tell me over text message, all right, that means you ain't care in the first place.
Yeah.
Or you avoid, or you think I was gonna be confrontational in a way that you didn't want to deal with, which I can understand from Camille, because she's a crash out, and and so I get it. Ian, you still don't get no points for it, but
get any points.
But I can't blame you for choosing Logan.
I mean, we're not doing this. We're not.
Can't blame you for choosing Logan after Camille said she ain't want kids. Like, I'm just saying.
My thing is, I think that we're talking about just the pace of everything, and we'll do that as we get into season episode 2. But let's just go back to Quinn real quick. Quinn meets Seth. They hit it off. They have a great night, and wakes up in the morning. And Seth, now his stylist, has lost his bag, his garment bag with all his clothes for the ESPYs.
Yes,
like he's a baseball player, right? Mm-hmm. And so Quinn decides to style him, and he shouts her out on the red carpet. So now her DMs are blowing up. So this is a good look for Quinn. But we also know that this is that story of business and pleasure. So what do we know is gonna happen from here on out? We don't, right? So we see this happening. The girls meet up at the bar. They're having a good old time. And they're like, Camille's like, here, you can have my shot, Angie, because, I feel awful, da 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 da. And now the inevitable happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Camille throws up.
Yep.
And Camille is pregnant.
Congratulations. She's having a baby.
So, to find all this out, she is really going through it. And we move seamlessly into episode 2, where they show you the picture, right? Like she's having this kind of conversation. I'm having a conversation with your OB, and you're like, WTF? And she doesn't realize, and this goes into having conversations with your physician, with any sort of doctor that you have, asking questions. you have less than a 5% chance of getting pregnant does not equate to
you cannot get pregnant.
right. So like I think that was just a big misstep, but I love that they showed that because it does remind people to have an actual conversation with their doctor.
The thing that got me was that she's 12 weeks pregnant, guys.
Yeah, so what's that?
3 months.
3 months.
Going on 3 months if it's not.
Yeah.
That's
First
crazy.
trimester.
First trimester is done.
Because you don't really know that you're pregnant until you miss your first that period, which means you're already a month in. By the time that you go to the doctor, it's about so
she has not had a period in 3 months.
That's kind of crazy.
And she thought it was stress.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was stress too. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, because your body does a lot of different things.
I'm saying sometimes though, you just got to take a pee on a stick.
Absolutely.
just because, you know, like especially if you know you're being sexually active. If you wasn't being sexually active, then I'll be like, all right.
Not only
if you wasn't letting him shoot the club up,
he was shooting the club up because she thought she couldn't get pregnant.
She said, I let him do it once or twice. All right, we did it a few times, but who knew?
Who knew?
First of all, that's what you know.
Yeah, that's irresponsible.
I didn't like Quinn's response though. She was like, "It's kind of flattering when a man's pull-out game is a little weak." Is it flattering?
No comment.
Is it flattering? Really?
Y'all let us know what y'all think.
Let us know. Is it flattering when a man's pull-out game weak?
This on air with y'all, okay? Because all I'm saying is wrap it up. Be safe if you don't want to have kids.
Especially that's the point that I'm making right now. Is because you said to this man, which is the reason why y'all not together in a relationship, that you didn't want to have children. He then decides, okay, and moves on. You initiate the sex, and then he's like, nah, I'm moving forward with someone who want kids. No,
he was in it till he wasn't in it. Y'all was having the sex, and he was having a good old grand time until he started dating Portia seriously. And now these are the end results. Because
because I feel like even if it wasn't Portia, it would have happened.
Oh, it would have happened. I'm not saying that.
Right. So I feel like it was only sex because he understood where you stood on building a life together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you can't, like, that's where I'm coming from. It's like if he ghosted you, then you're supposed to take that on the chin. But she was still looking at it like they a relationship.
No, I think she looked at it as in they are friends. They were friends before the relationship, friends after, because we're having sex, but we're still kicking it. We're still cool. You have to have some level of respect and care for the person when you are actively having sex with me, especially unprotected, right? So at the least bit, you could have just said, yo, like, hey, I know that we had this thing going on, but he didn't do that. And so now not only does she found out she's pregnant, she has to figure out a way to tell him that she's pregnant because he is in now this new relationship. And so I think that is where the messiness of it all comes in.
Right. That's when honestly, being pregnant by your ex is messy.
Oh, yes.
But being pregnant by your ex, who now has a new girlfriend, who you also knew prior, you know, like as his best friend. So it's a lot of different steps here.
Yes.
I feel for Camille in episode 2 though, because I feel like she had to navigate a lot emotionally.
She did.
But I don't feel bad that she's pregnant. Is that bad?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily feel bad that she's pregnant. Here's the thing. They go through this process with her OB. She's telling the OB. The OB is basically saying, hey, listen, we're still in New York. If you want to terminate, you can. That's an option, right? She also says that, you know, I would not risk it if you're thinking that you can terminate and then get pregnant. Probably not, because your chances of having a kid are still very low.
Right.
But I love that she gives her all these options, and she's very empathetic with the conversation that she's having with Camille.
Right.
And so we see that, you know, this is what's going on. Camille has a tough conversation to have. So she, you know, hangs out with the girls, and we're realizing that, listen, she hasn't told Ian yet. She's still trying to figure it out and navigate that space. But meanwhile, she's called her mom, who didn't answer the phone, right?
Didn't answer the phone.
She's doing the pros and cons with the girls at the table, that she's doing it with them at home, trying to figure out.
That conversation was so real life friendship conversation. I just
Which
want to
one?
say the sit down at the table pros and cons conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
That was probably the best conversation about the pregnancy so far.
Because Tye says it specifically. She's like, you keep, and I think it's because of Quinn, and I think we both agreed that Quinn was like super giddy in this episode.
She was very giddy,
and so Tye's like, I don't know what y'all doing, but you need to think about you wanting this child, whether Ian is in the picture or not. What do you want, and how does this impact your life? Because this is a lifelong decision. This child exists forever, right? But you're financially responsible for them up till at least 21 in some cases, right? So you got to think about that. Like she says, like, I have to be here 24/7 with this baby. So I love that Tye was the one that held it together, but they also had the conversation about embryos and freezing eggs, right? Because
that's true.
It's a lot that goes on with that. And so even in Camille's moments when she's having this conversation, she goes to talk to Ian about it, and that conversation went how I expected it to go. And don't mind me, y'all. I'm also like going through my notes. I know y'all see me looking down.
I feel like that conversation definitely went the way I thought, based off of how they show up for each other.
Yeah.
I do feel Ian was a bit selfish.
Agreed.
I feel he wasn't considering making Camille like a baby mama. Like that's heavy.
Yeah.
Shout out to the fact that he said he's gonna be there. He's gonna do everything. He's gonna step up as a man. You get points for that, but you also are supposed to do that regardless.
Yeah.
It's the fact of you have a whole nother woman that you're trying to build a life with.
Yeah.
And you talking this woman over here about keeping a baby.
Yeah.
And it's like a slippery slope, at least how I'm perceiving it.
I mean, it is a slippery slope because here's the thing: like, we realized in episode 2 that he's frozen embryos, right?
At the end,
yeah. That out. And so, to me, it's like, what? Like, you move so fast.
But also, is it really so fast? Like 2
months is a fast time.
Listen, it's 3 months.
3 months is a fast time.
3 months.
Here's the reason why I say that.
3 months.
When you know somebody as friends, it's like if you and I were to date. You know me as your friend, but you don't know me as a girlfriend. That's a completely different ball game. So to me, I'm not saying that.
But how long have they been friends though? Like, I feel like if you know your friend, you know your friend.
I mean, that's true too.
It's like
when you know you want something and y'all.
When you know you want something, when things align, things align. I don't believe like years equate to how strong a bond can be.
I agree with that.
So, but they do have years in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And although they haven't dated each other in that capacity or hung out with each other in that capacity, I feel they have a stronger foundation than anyone else.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know my flaws. I've already spoken to you candidly about relationships I've been in. I've spoke to you about the way I feel, how I operate. You know how I operate. You know my family, how we're structured. I know your family, how you're structured. So when having these conversations about building life together with someone who you already perceive as your best friend,
it's very different.
It's very different.
No, yeah,
and
I will agree with that.
When it comes to embryos and things like that, she probably had to go through IVF. She had to probably go through so many different things before they even got to the point of getting the results back.
No, so what it's doing is it's actually just taking. It's basically she's giving up eggs. He's giving up sperm. The doctors are putting them together, and then they're just freezing them.
Right.
So.
You don't think they had to go through no testing? No.
You have to go through testing. But
so this is a process, is all I'm saying. So we got the end of the process.
But to do all that in 3 months that's still very intense, especially as somebody who's gone through the process, like who've done fertility testing. It's not easy by no means. So, But I do think that he was selfish in how he spoke with her, how he made it seem like she was intentionally trying to sabotage him, that she was doing
Right.
all these things, that she was upset. And it's just
Shoot.
weird because a baby is not made by one person, it's made by two.
Right.
And so you have this conversation between the two of them, but eventually he's like, listen, like, where we won't be the first people to get caught in this kind of situation. We can make it work. And I do like that he said that. And then she was like, listen, I have the choice, I have a choice to make, and I'll let you know. And I think that that's the realest conversation for two people who are having a
I'm
kid,
not gonna lie,
not in a
though.
relationship.
I'm not gonna lie. That is the hardest decision to make
Absolutely.
if you're not with a person. And I feel Ian made a valid point. He's like, I don't have a say. And that is such a reoccurring topic that, especially that I see on like social media, things like that. It's like, do men have a say in women getting an abortion?
I will say that there is an opinion, but ultimately her body, her choice, right?
Right.
I mean,
so with the my body, my choice, that means you accept all responsibilities, whether this man steps up or not. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that it is.
Okay.
But
I don't feel Ian isn't going to step up. I'm just saying.
I feel like, here's my thing.
But with him being with another woman, you don't know.
I feel so. For me, it's responsibility. Strap it up. If you don't want to be pregnant by this person, or you don't want to have a baby with this person, strap it up. Okay. 2, once the person decides, I mean, I feel like you should relinquish, right? If you truly do not want to be in this baby's life, sign this paperwork that says I relinquish all my rights and whatever else, yada yada yada, right? I know that financial stuff is very different. I've never been in that situation before. I hope not to be in that situation, so I don't know. But I do think that people have to have these conversations beforehand, so you know what you're getting yourself into.
I agree.
So in them having a conversation, she basically leaves and she's still trying to figure it out. She calls her mom. Her mom doesn't answer.
Her mom answers now. Now her mom does answer.
No, her mom calls her back this time. The second time around, her mom just called her back.
Okay, so let's talk about mommy, because mommy pissed me off.
Mentally unstable is what I'm going to use, because we noticed that she has some mental issues, but they haven't stated what exactly it is. But you can tell based on how she's disregarding Camille's feelings. She's talking to her on speakerphone. Girl, you coming to the market later, while also talking to Camille. She says, oh, that, well, can I make the baby some booties? And
I can knit or crochet. It doesn't matter. And she's like,
I think
explain
that this is not like the ideal situation. What do you think about the mom's response to her when she says, I'm not sure if I'm keeping it? Because she's like, oh, that's a beautiful thing too.
Hey, how do I feel about the mom saying that's a beautiful thing too?
Because Camille was visibly offended. You could tell she was offended by the way that her mom reacted.
I feel her mom was like, I support you either way. But the way it came off was like very like dismissive.
Yeah.
Like, if you choose to have a baby, great. I'll make the baby some booties. If you choose not to have a baby, great. You have your life.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is.
That's real. Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know what you're looking for me to justify you having a child. And I feel Camille was looking for more of a nurturing mother spirit and not like a tough love mother spirit, which unfortunately she didn't receive.
And
I don't feel her mother said anything wrong. I do feel she was insensitive, but
I was gonna say, I don't think it's tough love. I think her mom doesn't have the capacity to know where and how to speak in certain situations. So it's just one of those things where she's just not capable, right? And that's something that Camille mentions as well, right? And so after that conversation with her mom, it throws her for a loop. And now she goes to she makes the appointment to get the termination.
Right after the phone call. Yeah. That's how you know.
Yeah. She's scared that she will be that mother. And I think she'd rather not be a mother at all than to turn out to be that, which is,
Do you feel that's a lot of people's fear, that they don't want to be their parents?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 110%. I think that depending on who you are and how strong you are, it's it plays a role, and based on your upbringing, right? So for me, I love my parents dearly, but there are some things where I'm just like, I don't want to do that. I absolutely know I want to have kids, but I'm like, this is probably not the way. And I'm not saying that to bash them or anything like that, because you don't know what you don't know that you don't know. And as parents, you're literally winging it, right? There's no handbook for it. I mean, as many people as write books, it's not a one size fits all situation.
Dr. Lipschitz, you don't apply in this situation. I'm sorry.
I don't even know who that is.
That's from Rugrats.
That's hilarious. So, for me, I think that with that situation, her mom is not maternal, right? And so
I wouldn't say her mom isn't maternal. Her mom isn't nurturing.
Her mom is not maternal. It's not.
What does maternal mean?
Meaning, like, it's this feature that happens, and it doesn't happen for everybody. Let's be clear.
Right.
It happens where you automatically switch into protecting, nurturing, empathizing, compassionate, especially for your children, no matter how old they get. Like my mom, I know for sure if I call my mom and I start crying, there's a certain tone my mom starts to take with me, because now she's knowing, okay, my child is hurting. Camille's mom didn't have that. The switch didn't turn.
Maybe she has Asperger's.
I think that she has a mental illness, and that's like it happens, right? But she doesn't have that maternal thing that kicks on that Camille really wanted, especially in this particular time of need. Right. And so she happens to go over to Ian's because she's gonna basically say like, "Hey, I'm not doing this," and she gets with Aunt Tammy. And Aunt Tammy says, "Come in here, let's have a conversation." And talks to her about, like, listen, my sister, Regina, Ian's mom, thought that we were going to be like our mom. That was one of the reasons why she didn't have or have kids. Right. But Regina ended up pregnant with Ian. And here she is. And she's been a wonderful mother. She's been nothing like our mother. So it's like literally all up to you.
Right. Okay. So as we talk more, I feel it with Camille, after the conversation with the mom and after the whole scheduling of abortion right after, she goes to Ian's house again, and this time runs into his Aunt Tammy.
Right.
Aunt Tammy is probably one of my favorite support characters that you don't see often, but when they come in, they be making a splash. That's Aunt Tammy for me.
Yeah.
And I feel Aunt Tammy was the right person to talk to Camille.
Absolutely. Because it gave her the flip side of like, hey, you don't have to turn out like your mother. You get to choose.
Right.
And I think that's the realest thing that she could have said to her.
And I like the transparency if she said, I chose the route of not having the child. My sister chose the route of keeping it.
She the rich, Aunt Tammy's rich auntie. She's rich auntie. Because in last season, when Ian needed money for this mishap with the wedding situation, Aunt Tammy came through with the guap, okay? Like, she was like, I got the cha-ching.
Right. But I ain't gonna front, Aunt Tammy was pissed off about
she was.
But that goes to show, like, Aunt Tammy's she's solid.
Yeah.
And I feel, had Camille not talked to Tammy, she would have went through with the abortion.
I do absolutely agree with you, because she would have only had one side, which is my mom is not maternal, something's wrong with her and I don't want to be like this. So therefore I'm just going to not go through with it at all. Right? So she makes the decision to keep the baby, and she texts him while he's in the OB. First of all, the same OB, god damn it. Like,
it was casting budget.
No, for that.
It was a casting budget.
Same man. OB
but they all live in Harlem, so it's like it's only but so many places that's gonna offer the services that you need.
Yeah, I guess. But this is when we realized that they have 4 embryos, Ian and Portia, 3 girls, one boy. Absolutely, it is a lot. And he gets the text after Portia, is signing off the paperwork and just saying like she's going to freeze and just consider about it later, but at least they know that they have something, right? And to me, that's just a crazy situation to put yourself in. But also, I get it. So I'm not mad at Ian, right? When you want to be a parent and you
Come
know
on.
that you have like so much love to give, and
Right. And you
somebody who
found a
wants parents,
partner who's willing to give you that?
yeah, that's a
Come
big deal.
on.
It's a big deal.
And your best friend at that? Like, come on. This is why I'm saying it's not too far fetched for them to be in here.
Yeah.
They've been friends since kids, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they've
For
been
a long
friends for a
time.
long time.
Long
I'm
time.
not really sure, but I know they've been friends
But
for.
yeah, so like they've been friends for forever.
Yeah. To me, I
In
think the
friendship
thing
years.
is
Like,
like it's tricky, and I'm glad we didn't really dive into that in the episode because it would be one of those things. It's like, well, where did this come from? But nonetheless, he's stunned and he's shocked, and so we're like, yo, he got to tell Portia, like, how is that
I
gonna go
wanna
down?
know like how that conversation goes. I wanna be a fly on the wall.
I definitely want to be a final because this is a lot that's happening in a short span
Right.
of time with them doing what they're doing and planning their own family. Her, actually coming back to Harlem and them reconnecting.
Right.
Camille's pregnant. That's a lot that's going on. It's a
It
lot
is a
happening,
lot happening, man. Let
So
us know what y'all think down below.
yes.
What y'all think is gonna happen? Do y'all
Sure.
think that what's the girl? Portia's gonna stick around? Do y'all think Portia's gonna leave? Do y'all think Camille and Portia's gonna have a dialogue at one point?
Right.
At some point to really discuss future and what that looks like, being a baby mom and the new current girlfriend, who's also planning to be, I will hope, a wife before baby mom number two. But you know what I mean. So like, so this is a lot. This
It
is
is
really
a
heavy.
lot. And before we close out, I just want to touch on Angie because I think she was the other one that had like the biggest piece, right, that we talked
Right.
about, which was she's reading her lines and she is talking about drugs in her booty.
Right, because as we know on the show, she got the
Girls
audition.
Trip. She auditioned for Girls Trip the musical
and got the role.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel for Angie and Mike. They complement each other well.
Mm-hmm.
However, their differences are very noticeable.
Very noticeable.
And for like, even for him to ask, "Are you really going to be singing about drugs in your booty?"
Mm-hmm. And she's like, she refers to the movie. Here's my thing. I'm not particularly a fan of Angie being comic relief.
Yes.
I don't like it. I feel like out of everybody, she's grown, but she's grown in a way of like she's engaged and she's even her advice to Camille was very like childish, very immature,
right. Very not in the mindset of someone who's getting married.
Yeah, and I want more for her. I don't know. I want more for her. We have yet to see what this Girls Trip musical is really gonna look like. So I guess we have that to look forward to. But like, what do y'all think? How do y'all feel about Angie? How do you feel about all the characters?
Right.
Because they each play their own role, but I really do want to see more seriousness for Angie and more like just more growth in a way. And I understand
I don't necessarily need more seriousness, but I definitely need more growth.
More growth. Okay.
Because I feel like making a playful joke here and there isn't a problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if that's all you're adding, then that's when it becomes an issue.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I still want her to be lighthearted, the person that she is. Like she's free spirited. Therefore, show up as that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't add a substance line here and there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. Well, y'all know, this is the final season of Harlem. It'll be dropping on Amazon Prime January 23rd. We're super excited. Like I said, they're doing 2 episodes at a time. So this season will be over before you know it. But let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts. You'll find us here after every episode drops. We will have our review, and you can count on us to be messy with you. All right. So until next time, peace.
Pecting.